Yeah.
Tampa, Kansas City now?
Yeah, so my team, who I've been really liking this year, and I liked them going in, Tampa Bay, or as I like to say, Tampa Bay, for Tom Brady being the starting quarterback now. One thing I've started to pick up on, and I think the media and everyone has picked up on, is how abysmal they are on primetime. They're 1-3 on primetime. They've gotten smacked a couple times by the Saints. Tom looked like he looked bad against the Rams, in my opinion. And they do have a good defense, don't get me wrong. But some of those interceptions and the one that should have been called a fumble, which wasn't, he looked like he hit Father Time in some of those moments. And it's happened against the Saints too. And this game is primetime. The Chiefs have been money on primetime.
Is it primetime or is it 3:20?
3:25, but it's on national television. So I'm gonna consider that prime time because everyone's seeing it. It's not
a nationally televised afternoon game.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Mahomes. I think he will be the MVP this year. His stats have been nuts. He hasn't really been getting that much traction until recently, kind of when Wilson fell off. But he's been awesome. Their team's pretty much the same as last year, but they added Edwards-Helaire and Lev Bell, and Lev Bell hasn't been all that much, but Hilaire's been I think he's been good. And their offense is still cooking. Their defense hasn't been horrible. They've been fine. I think they're definitely going to win for sure. I had that that's one of my best bets in the betting video, which just got released today, so check that out. But yeah, I think I really like the Chiefs in this one. And before I let you guys, I just want to say this one thing. The Buccaneers defense, they run a lot of zone, and Jared Goff was killing them. He was actually he was slicing them up. And I think Mahomes is going to do the same, but I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
So I agree with you on your Tom Brady evaluation, though. I don't think Father Time has got him. Like, I think he's obviously shown the signs of decline that any quarterback does as at his age, right?
He's been this bad, though. Has he looked this bad?
Right. He's not willing to take hits anymore, and their offensive line has a lot of moving parts, and that puts him under pressure, and he certainly doesn't want to stand in and throw the ball the way he used to. And his arm is definitely not as good, right? Like, his arm used to be so good where even on a lot of these shorter throws, he could get it out because even if his timing wasn't perfect, just because his arm is really that good, and his timing usually was perfect. So he's really been an outstanding player, right? But I think, wow, breaking news, Tom Brady's an outstanding player. That's not the point, though. I just think that what's happened to him the last few weeks is teams have started to realize that if you put two safeties back there and you play split safety coverage, which means that you're playing a lot of cover, you're making him throw the ball deeper and on the outside to complete passes, you can really hurt the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because, one, Tom isn't as good throwing the ball out there, and two, pass protection has to hold up for him to throw out there, and he's not willing to stand in and take hits and make those amazing throws after amazing throws. So I think Tampa Bay's only chance in this game is getting back to running the ball. I think what hurts their defense a little bit too is that sometimes their defense gets put on the field pretty quickly because they go throw 3 and out, and it really just hurts their defense. We addressed it in the last show. That's why I picked the Saints to win the division, because I think the loss of Vita Vea has really hurt this defense. Their run defense is still really good, but it's not historic like it was with Vita Vea.
Yeah.
And they struggle in pass coverage with a banged-up secondary. Like Carlton Davis, their best corner, is playing hurt. I agree with you. I think the Chiefs are going to win. Mahomes is really, really good, obviously. I think I would probably go for Aaron Rodgers as the MVP right now, just because I think his level of difficulty is harder, but it's not a hot take to say Mahomes is the MVP. He absolutely should be in the conversation. I do think his numbers have been a little bit inflated.
Yeah.
I do think some of his touchdowns, I don't know why he's the only quarterback people don't bring this up for, but Andy Reid is really good with the shovel pass, the flick pass, the push pass, the little push off the snap and the screen game and all of that, and that helps them in the red zone. So that's how he throws some of his touchdowns. It shouldn't take away anything from him. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and definitely one of the best. And he's going to be one of the best ever. There's no doubt about that. I just think that's a part of it. And then I've also watched games like the Chargers game and the Patriots game where he struggled, but guys have dropped interceptions. So it doesn't really affect his bottom line numbers. But I mean, we're really picking at details. This is an awesome player who certainly deserves to be the MVP. There's no doubt about that. But I'm 100% with you. Kansas City's going to win this game.
Yeah, and to go on that, like I think I regard Mahomes very high. I'd say he's the second or first best quarterback. But you remember Alex Smith with Andy Reid? Alex Smith was putting him at 12-4 record or 11-5 every year.
Right.
There was a year he was like even talked about as being a dark horse for the MVP with pretty much the same supporting cast.
Right.
They had Kareem Hunt instead, of course, but
right. And they didn't win in the playoffs, but I don't think it's breaking news to say, whoa, Patrick Mahomes is better than Alex Smith by
exactly.
Yeah.
And then also Mahomes' numbers do definitely look better than what I feel like how he actually has played. With those they always talk about it, the announcers do. When the quarterback catches it and he does a little shovel pass to the receiver who's cutting across, and the Chiefs loves doing that. They just have a bunch of speed on the outside, so they'll always do that, and that's a touchdown when it counts as a passing touchdown, but it's pretty much just a handoff.
Right. And the Chiefs have this play in their playbook. They used to run it a lot more. They don't run it as much, where they have the back motion across, and it's basically it looks kind of like a read option with the back, and then Kelsey kind of comes in and kind of settles right behind the offensive line, and it's a little shovel to the tight end, like a tight end screen. They used to call that play in the red zone a lot. Kelsey was really good at it. But again, we're picking at individual plays and details. Mahomes, we definitely regard Mahomes as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Blake thinks he's the MVP. I think it's Rodgers, but if it's Mahomes, I wouldn't be upset.